Good morning, powerful ones. This is Tashara, and today is Forgiving Friday. Again, I want to encourage you to head to YouTube to subscribe to my channel, Tashara TJ Robinson. I would greatly appreciate it. I also want to thank you again for all of your support that you've shown me over these past 5 days. I just began recording videos this past Monday, and you guys have been more than gracious and supportive, so I thank you for that. So again, today is Forgiving Friday. How do you feel when the weekend comes? You know, you have that feeling of, ooh, it's the weekend. I can't wait to let loose and let go. I had a hard week, right? Most people feel that way. Well, that's why I think Friday is a good day to forgive. Now, I understand how vast this subject of forgiveness is. So this video won't be 30 minutes long. More than likely, I'm going to make 2 videos on forgiveness, okay? So this is forgiveness part 1. And a little more background about me before we begin. One thing I've learned about myself is my biggest strength is my transparency. My biggest weakness is my transparency. So with that being said, I want to share as much of my own life with you in order to let you know you're not alone, you can make it, you're normal. But I also have to balance that with the reality of I'm a mom, I have children, videos live in perpetuity. So I have to invoke some discretion. So just keep that in mind as I share with you, and I would greatly appreciate your grace in that manner. So let's move forward. The first place I'd like to start is, what is forgiveness? Okay. This was the best definition I found. It's pretty thick, so we're going to take it sentence by sentence, but listen to the whole definition first. Forgiveness is the intentional and voluntary process by which a victim undergoes a change in feelings and attitude regarding an offense, lets go of negative emotions such as vengefulness, with an increased ability to wish the offender well. That's a lot, wasn't it? Okay, so let's take it sentence by sentence. Forgiveness is the intentional and voluntary. Let's stop right there. The definition, and I totally agree with it, is basically saying that forgiveness, you don't have to do it. This is something that you choose to do. It's intentional. You make an intent to do it, and it's voluntary. No one is holding a gun to your head to say, you better forgive me, or you better forgive that person. No. So remember earlier this week, we were talking about being mindful of our choices. So here is a choice for you. Forgiveness is a choice. Now, stay there. Let's add one more layer to that. It is an intentional and a voluntary process. I love that word. It didn't say it was an act. An act is something you punch something. That's an act. This is a process, like getting your hair done. It's a process. Got to go, take it down, unbraid it, shampoo it, sit on the dryer, braid it back up. That's a process. It's several steps, right? The same with forgiveness. So be gentle with yourself. If you feel like, dang, I thought I forgave that person. Why am I still mad? You're normal. You're normal. It's a process. It may take several steps to reach, I guess, acceptance. If you do any more reading on forgiveness, understand that when an offense happens, you really will go into a whole grieving process. And if you've ever lost someone, going through a divorce or any kind of loss, job loss, any type of loss, there's always a grieving process. The first step, I believe, I haven't done any recent research on this, but these are the 5 steps. It may not be in the correct order, but it's shock, denial, anger, you're depressed, and then eventually you accept what has happened. You accept the loss. So if you find that, again, I'm still feeling some type of way about this offense, you're normal. It's a process, okay? So we said it's an intentional and voluntary process by which a victim undergoes a change in feelings and attitude regarding an offense. Let's sit here for a minute. When I think of some offenses that I had to forgive, let's say in my marriage, one would be betrayal. So, like I just said earlier, that offense took me into a grieving process: shock, anger, denial, depression, and then finally acceptance, right? So that was my first step in the process of forgiveness, going through that grieving process. As I have matriculated over these last few years, my attitude now, looking back at the offenses, this is my attitude toward it. It happens. I'm not the first wife this has happened to. Unfortunately, I won't be the last wife or husband. No, I don't want to be gender specific on that. It may not even be in a marriage. It could be a friendship. Those happen. Betrayals happen everywhere. So when I look back over that offense today, I realize, that happens. It's not targeted toward me in particular. It happens. So I don't take it personally. So that's how my attitude and feeling toward the offense has changed. Years ago, I took it personally. What's wrong with me? Maybe I need to be a better wife. Maybe I need to look better. Maybe I need to yada, yada, yada. And so, of course, I learned all these things when I attended counseling myself. Is the first thing you do when you are offended, you look at yourself and go, well, maybe it's me. But after you do your inner work like I did, you realize, oh, just like we talked about earlier, that we have to be mindful of our choices. That was a choice that person made. That person made the choice to offend you. You didn't make them do that. So that's how my attitude has changed. That's how my feelings have changed toward that offense. Here's the next part of the definition. Again, let me start again so we can know where we are. Forgiveness is the intentional and voluntary process by which a victim undergoes a change in feelings and attitude regarding an offense, lets go of negative emotions such as vengefulness. Let's sit there for a minute. Here's a check. You know that you probably need to work on forgiving this person if you think of the offense and you still want to get back at them. I've been told, girl, if that were me, I would have done A, B, C. Get them back. Do something, TJ. And my response wasn't that. I'm not saying I always had a perfect response. Let me be clear on that. But I didn't do anything I felt that was vengeful. One, because I realized I didn't want to become the issue. If I were to do something to get someone back, then I become the issue, and we no longer are looking at the offense. So that was why I chose not to do anything vengeful. And then two, I realized that is, I'm allowing someone else's choices to get me out of character. That's too much control. I don't want anybody to have that much control over me. You know how some people say, well, she made me mad. No one can make you mad. You chose that response. So again, because of my own inner work, counseling, reading, I realized, oh, okay. So the fact that I'm choosing not to respond that way, for me, that was a victory. I'm allowing that person to experience, I guess, the natural consequences of his or her choice. So you have let go of negative emotions such as vengefulness. Here is the kicker. Let me just read the whole sentence again, the definition. Forgiveness is the intentional and voluntary process by which a victim undergoes a change in feelings and attitude regarding an offense, lets go of negative emotions such as vengefulness, with an increased ability to wish the offender well. You know you have reached mastery when you can wish your offender well. Now, I understand that some of you may have dealt with some serious offenses. Probably some that are just unimaginable. So your process may be longer than mine or someone else's. Be patient with yourself. Understand that you have a process. But eventually the goal is to reach mastery. And mastery is wishing the offender well. We've already said that we're all responsible for our choices, right? That offender chose to offend you by doing that act, right? and we've had a change in attitude and feeling regarding the offense, whatever conclusion you've come to, mine was, it happens. It's not my fault. That's something he chose to do. Now I've reached mastery because now I bless people. I say this sentence: I bless, fill in the blank, John, Sarah, with love, peace, prosperity, companionship, and health. These are words that I literally send in a text or I say out loud. I know, corny, but for me, it is me wishing the offender well and an act of me letting it go. Again, it's Friday. We're letting stuff go. We're getting ready for the weekend. So you have to choose how you are going to wish your offender well. And I'm big, we're going to talk about this on Sunday. I'm big on being audible about the words that I speak. So I talk out loud. I'm getting like your grandmothers, you should walk around the house talking out loud, blessing stuff or whatever. I do that. I bless you with love, peace, prosperity, companionship, and health. One, we know whatever you give out, you're going to get back. So, hey, kind of looking out for myself too. But it also is an act of me letting go. Because when I tell you I don't wish my offender any harm, none whatsoever. Because again, that means I still have some work to do. I still have some negative emotions tied to the offender or the offense. So when I can bless my offender, I've reached mastery. So this video was a little longer than normal, but again, part 1, what is forgiveness? This is Forgiving Friday. So maybe you could replay this video a couple of times if you want to make notes, just to understand what forgiveness is. In our next video, we can talk about what it isn't. But this is a great first start on just dissecting your situation to see, have I forgiven? Because again, forgiveness is a choice. It isn't mandatory. But when I tell you on the other side of forgiveness is freedom, you don't understand. I sleep like a baby every night. I do. I'm free. It is serious freedom. I'm free and I'm happy. And that feels so good. You can't put a price on that. It's called peace. And it's priceless. So thank you so much. And I hope you have an amazing Forgiving Friday. Thanks for watching.